let's start, Lorrie. Whereabouts in the world are you?
So I'm in Arizona right now, and I have to introduce you to Elsa because she keeps walking in front of the screen. Say hi, Elsa.
Oh, look at those blue eyes. She's part Siamese, is that right?
She's Himalayan, which is like a kind of Siamese. And she's very chaotic. I'm not used to having a cat. She walks on my keyboard. She launches things all over my computer. But at any rate, so I'm in Arizona. I'm in almost Mexico, the very southeastern part of Arizona. But I think I've lived most of my life in California, but I grew up in North Carolina. I was born in Missouri. I moved 16 times before I graduated high school. So there was a lot of shuffling around, which made me like super adaptable to getting along with people, because you're in a new school, you're in a new neighborhood, and you got to figure it out. So,
what were the circumstances that caused 16 moves?
Well, my father was a manufacturer manager, like of clothing manufacturing, and he didn't want to ever buy a house in case we moved, so we would lease a house every year. We'd move into a new house, new neighborhood, new everything. And then my parents got divorced, and she marries a guy from the Army, so go figure. That's what happened.
I see. Now, I can't help but notice you're wearing a hat there, and it's very indicative of your lifestyle, because you're heavily into horses and farm animals.
Indeed I am. I've always loved horses my entire life. I've just had this weird connection with them. I used to draw them when I was in elementary school, and just like loved them so much. In fact, I have to tell you a funny story real quick. It has nothing to do with copywriting, but when I was about, I want to say 12, I had braces, and I had one of those headgear things, the like satellite things that go around your face. And there were two horses that lived across the street in a neighborhood. It was a suburban neighborhood, but at the end of it, there were these two horses, and I was so enthralled with them. And I would just go over and stare at them, and they had an electric fence. And guess what? I got really close to the electric fence, and I never did that again. It went psh.
Oh, no. Well, it obviously helped the teeth, because they're beautiful and straight.
Exactly.
Now, I've got some notes here. Now, I did it as you do when you've got a guest coming on a program. You'd like to know a little bit about their background other than what you already know. And as I dug into your history, I mean, we need 8 hours really to cover what you've been doing. I mean, let's just okay, we're on Substack. So you've got a Substack publication. Let's just start there. You're relatively new to Substack, as you said.
I am, yeah.
But you've already got almost 2,000 subscribers, which is quite an accomplishment for someone new to the platform. But did you bring any of those along with you, or have you grown those?
No,
you did? Okay.
I brought them with me. I figured if they signed up for my newsletter, they're interested enough to see Substack. And I've been using Substack more as an email platform than the email platform that I regularly use. So that's why the number's higher than the newbie.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes total sense to do that when you've got a list from another platform or elsewhere to export them. And that's one of the advantages that Substack give us, is that we can import, I should say, a list of subscribers. Mm-hmm. And, it makes perfect sense. So you've nearly 2,000. Now, your Substack publication is named Red Hot Ink Slinger. I do like that. Why did you name it Ink Slinger?
Well, when I started, I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, just dabbling. I wasn't even sure I was going to do it, and I rarely came on it. And I had heard somebody describe copywriters as an ink slinger, like a gunslinger. And I was like, that is the cool term. And so Red Hot, of course, Red Hot Copy. And so I pushed it together, and there you go.
Beautiful. Now, how do you define copywriting for somebody who doesn't know what copywriting is?
Oh, copywriting. Well, it's, of course, salesmanship in print is the traditional definition, but these days it's everything. It's video like this. It's messaging. It's really what words that you use to sell. But to me, like you mentioned already, I take it a a little deeper than that, and I build a relationship with those words, because it's not like the direct response to that testosterone or war language stuff that works as much. I won't say it doesn't work. It definitely does. But people are looking for authenticity these days, and they're looking for connection, especially, I think, with the internet and being so interconnected. Like, you're in Australia. Oh my gosh, we're 15 hours apart, and we can talk like this. That was heard of, 20 years ago. So I feel like it's I'm probably getting off track now. I'm rambling, but it's more than just salesmanship in print these days. It's however you present yourself to the world and build trust and start. Hopefully, if you've got something worthwhile, people will want to buy things from you and be in your community, be in your world.
Now, first of all, going off track and rambling is my modus operandi, so please feel at home. Yeah. Now, we've got a bit to talk about story selling as opposed to storytelling. This is something that you've, and I do believe, hang on a minute, you've been listed in the top 20 copywriters, dead or alive, of all time. How did you end up in that list?
No,
hang on a minute, that sounds terrible. How did you end up on that list? No, it's all in the intonation.
It is, let me correct you, it's the top 100, not the top 20. I wish it was the top 20, but 100, I'll take it. I don't know. It's on Copy Warfare, and this guy put together this really cool comprehensive list of some of the greatest copywriters ever, and I got thrown on there. I don't know how. I mean, there's Dan Kennedy, Gary Halbert, then there's the old guys, David Ogilvy and Claude Hopkins, Gene Schwartz, and I'm in there.
Yeah. Now, once upon a time, it was all very gender weighted towards males, wasn't it? It was a very men-driven industry, advertising and copywriting. And of late, that's really been balanced out. There's yourself, there's friends, mutual friends we have in Pauline Longdon, Australian copywriter, doing great things. You and her are friends, and also her partner, Ray. But who's had the most influence on your writing? Not just copywriting, but writing in general, because storytelling is a part of your toolkit.
Wow, that was a great question. I did not anticipate. I got to think about that one, because of course, I studied with Gary Halbert, with John Carlton, especially with John Carlton. But my style was so influenced by that tough war language kind of style, and I loved it. I thought it was great because it was like playing a character, because I'm not like that. I'm not like, just buy the damn thing, and it was almost like in acting, like doing a character. I could be this rough, tough girl, and I could hang out with the guys, because when we go to events, like you said, it's mostly guys and a handful of women. And we could hang out in the bar and tell dirty jokes. It was hilarious. I had the best time. So the storytelling themselves, I mean, that's something that is very prevalent in the copywriting industry. Like when people get together, they have all kinds of BS stories to tell. And so I think it's just, who would be my influences on that? I cannot think of anybody in the copywriting industry that was an influence, but people like Nora Ephron, who actually has a really great show, if any of you guys want to look it up, called Everything is Copy. And it's a really good documentary about her. And she wrote When Harry Met Sally. She uses humor, self-deprecation. So I think it's really just a conglomeration of people who like her, who are good writers, people who are self-deprecating, because I'm very much that. I can tell you are too, and allow themselves to just, it's okay to mess up in front of the world. It's just, we're humans. It's all good.
For our viewers, Lorrie, I'll include that name and a link, if I can find it, in the show notes as well. So and just a shout out to those who are with us right now live. Thank you for joining us. And if you're watching Lorrie Morgan on the replay or listening to an audio podcast version, we're talking about copywriting and storytelling, or as Lorrie Morgan calls it, story selling. And just one question before we move into some helpful tips for our audience. So, yes, the old definition of copywriting salesman in print, or sales selling in print. Do you consider yourself a salesperson?
Yes, I still do. Even when I tell a story, there's a place where you pivot in the story into the offer, and if you can do it very artfully to where you don't like have a speed bump of like, oh, I'm reading this great story and now she's pitching me something. What the hell? So there's a way to eloquently do it. So yeah, I do. I'm a seller.
Well, I'm proud to be in your company in that case, because I'm a very proud salesman. I am a salesman because I was born a man, and I don't mix that gender up. I'm a salesman and I'm proud of it. But we have people with us on Substack who think of selling as something that's icky, and they don't want to be associated with it at all. And look, I'll speak for myself. You speak for your own self, but I wouldn't want to. I don't want to push somebody into being salesy if that's what they don't feel comfortable doing or have an aversion to it. But what would your answer be to someone who's on the fence, thinking, "Oh, selling, I've never done it. I don't quite understand it. I find it a bit icky, but I want to persuade. I want people to read my stuff. I want people to buy my stuff." How would you help them?
I agree with you. There's, I started out really writing to here's a cattail.
That's not a cat. That's a squirrel.
That's a squirrel. Selling to women who actually approach things very differently than men, and they're a lot more skeptical in a lot of ways. They need to trust you first, which is why I kind of backed into storytelling that way. So what I would say to people like that, and I do understand, nobody likes to be sold to, you want to know what the benefits are, and you want to know like what you're going to get out of it, how it's going to make your life better. And I think we've all been swindled by people who are pushy, just looking to get us to open our wallets. And so I understand the ickiness, that part of it. But, think about if you've ever tried to get your wife to go to watch a movie that you didn't, it may not be her thing. Or let me think of, we do this all the time. My husband and I do this all the time. We don't, I like comedies. I like chick flicks. He likes war movies. And I can see some of them. We make some compromises, but we'll have to come up with, some selling points. So it's persuading. That was the perfect word. It's not even selling. It's persuading, letting them know how their life is going to be better. And John Carlton says something that I think is absolutely true, that if you have a product that can help people and you're not trying to spread it out there and get it to other people, then shame on you. You're holding back something that can help other people.
And copywriting has structure. And so just outline, for example, headline and body copy, the body copy and the call to action and a PS, or, there's so many. And there's so many formulas too that you'd be familiar with. I want to ask you, when you write copy, do you start with the headline, or do you start with the body copy, or do you start with the offer or the call to action to the offer?
Good question. I rarely start with the headline. The headline kind of reveals itself later as I understand what shape it's going to take. Like you said, there's a formula to it. But I think these days, like, sticking to the straight long form sales copy is tired. Like, I think it's okay. You need all of the elements and you need to have them in a certain order, but I think it's okay to move blocks around. So it depends. Like, if I'm selling something that is, I can't figure out what the hook is, then I'll start with the offer, because that's one thing I know. I know what I'm asking for money for. So I will often start with that. But I'll tell you, I've written products after I write the sales letter, because I'm like, what would be good in this product? Oh yeah. Let's put this in. And then next thing you know, it's actually the sales letter has shaped my product. So I don't have a hard, fast way of doing it. What I used to do, like from beginning to end. And then I started throwing story in. And I did this early on. I did one of my, in fact, my very first sales letter was had a story opening, and I had never really worked in the copywriting industry. And this guy said that he had been hiring other copywriters, and that I outconverted everybody else, and that was with story. So I find that with the massive amount of information that's out there these days, that story's a great way to just kind of ease into somebody's life and to feel that connection like right away before you hit them over the head with sales.
You say, Lorrie, that communication and relationship connection is the thing of the modern era of writing, persuasive writing and copy, don't you? And you actually have this phrase, story selling, as opposed to storytelling. So this leads now into using story to help sell in your message. And you've got this phrase, story selling, not storytelling. Explain that, what that means to you, and explain how that could benefit to writers who aren't using persuasive writing but want to and know they have to.
Well, so let's go back to like the icky feeling of like, I don't want to be a salesperson, but still everybody tells stories about their lives, about what happened to them yesterday, about, you know, just the mundane things. And so we already know how to do that. And so all you really need to do is wed that with the selling structure. And by thinking of the person who's on the other side of the screen, or wherever your message is, if they're reading it on paper or whatever it is, and you think about what it is that gets them excited, or what would benefit them and make their lives better. And then the way you tie that back to the story, I mean, it depends on what story it is that you use. There's lots of different strategies about what story as well. I like to use a story that kind of, if it's my product, and let's be honest, I don't really write for clients much these days. It's mostly for me. So I am the client. And if I'm writing my product, then I'm going to be the star of the show. And I'm going to lay out like who I am. And I'm going to display qualities of who I am as a person to build trust before I tell you like why I have this great thing for you. And that's how I would lay it out.
You've also got this phrase, story spell. Have I got it right? Story spell?
Yes, story spell. Story spell.
What's that?
Story spell was it was an enormous product that was a live workshop that went on for 8 weeks, and it was everything that I know about telling stories and selling, and it was overwhelming. It was too much. I mean, the people had a great time, but I have decided to not re-release Story Spell in its original format. Instead, it's going to be the name of my podcast on Substack, and it'll be about different segments of it, because it was like a university class. There was so much, too much crammed in. And that's the thing about courses. A lot of times, you know, we just want to help, and we want to give people our best stuff. And sometimes it's just the few things that click in their mind is enough for them to get enough out of that course. So Story Spell has been retired as a course and will be resurfacing as a podcast.
You've got something in the pipeline too, haven't you, to help writers? And I do know you've got your website, which is, will you tell us what your website is, Lorrie?
Yes. My website is redhotcopy.com. And whenever I have to say it, like on the telephone, they always think I'm saying red hot coffee. No, it's not. It's copy. Red copy. And that has basically like anything that I'm up to, or you can read about my bio, although you covered it very well. And yeah, stuff like that. That's where I'm at, Red Hot Copy. And I also, besides the Substack, which I love, and I actually spend a lot more time here than on any other social media, but oh yeah, I rarely open.
Why? Sorry, why is that?
Yeah, because it's real, it's authentic. It's like people are actually connecting. I mean, we've been Facebook friends for years, but how do we connect on Substack? And it's real writing. There's no advertising. I don't have to worry about the algorithm, like hijacking who I want to see or talk to. It's enjoyable. And maybe because it's fresh and new too. And there's everybody's just so they're like at a big cocktail party. And Facebook used to be like that. I don't think it ever will be again.
Yeah, that's very refreshing to hear you say that. So many people are coming to the platform from other platforms, and they're expressing a very similar view, a very similar perspective as yours. And it's encouraging, really. And we're on the ground floor here with Substack because it is still relatively new it's now a social media platform and a multimedia publishing platform. So while it did start as a platform for writers to monetize their writing, it's now become more than that, and video, exactly what you and I are doing right now, Lorrie. They're really moving into that direction. So it's so good to have people like you come onto the platform with your background and experience, because you're going to be helping more and more writers understand what's involved with writing with story, and writing with story in a way that sells. And for those who want to sell or need to sell, I mean, you have to sell to monetize. Unless you're just some very clever person who can spit out some words and all of a sudden people want to pull out their credit card. I'm not like that. Are you? No. We have to put some structure into it, don't we? And that's what's you mentioned the course there that you had, Story Spell, and it was a lot in there, and you put a lot in there because you know a lot of information, and you wanted to help, and that's why you put a lot in there. Have you got something in the pipeline that's sort of something newer and more in line with how you want to help Substackers?
Yes, I definitely do. It's called the Why You story. Why you? Why is this? Which should somebody hire you? And it's almost like a different genre. In fact, it really is a different genre. And I have a whole article on here somewhere about it, but it's basically, it's showing people how you react in situations, who you are as a person, what your character is through a story, without saying, oh, I'm a compassionate person, oh, I'm trustworthy. You show it through a story, people feel it, and then the trust, like it happens instantaneously. And that's what you have to get buyers nowadays more than ever. But I say this as somebody who sells to women. It's required for a woman to trust you before she's going to give you any money. That's how we're wired. And so it's also similar with guys. If they hint, like there's something kinky, they're probably not going to want to buy anything from you.
Is your target market more women or no?
It's not. I look at my numbers and it's about 50-50, both men and women. So because men want to know how to reach women, because women are the top buying segment, in the world. 85% of buying decisions are made by women. And that's because I didn't believe that when I first heard it, but it's because we buy gifts, we buy the household items, we handle usually, the finances, the household things. And so before you know it, we kind of are holding the purse strings for everything. But it doesn't mean that men don't buy things too. And that's why I say now I've changed it from writing words that sell to women to writing words that sell to humans, because it really is about having a connection, and more now, yes. I think these days than it ever really used to be. Before it was almost like a one-sided, like hammer, and now it's more like, let's have interactivity, or let's let you get to know me. And that's what the Why You story is about. It's like letting them get to know who you are as a person, so the trust builds, and then it's easier to sell to them. And that sounds really awful, but that's what it's for. It is a sales technique, but it also can be used just to, not even necessarily just sales letters, but just as social media posts or in articles and things. So people have a body of work that they see. Oh, that's who you are, as a person.
we use that phrase target market. You're familiar with it. You probably invented it. And we're familiar with it as copywriters, but you've put an interesting slant on that in a part of in the body of your work. You call it the TARKET concept. That's TARKET. Explain that and explain how you came up with it.
Oh, it's a funny story, actually, how I came up with it. So when I first started writing copy, before I had any mentors, what I did was reverse engineer it by writing, like handwriting other people's copy and going like, oh, these are the bones of the copy. This is what needs to happen in this order. And then somehow it clicked for me, like, oh, I'm writing to a single person. I'm not writing to a mob. I'm not writing to a group of people. It's one person. And to me, target market sounds like a huge, a big thing. And, you know, right now I also teach the John Carlton's simple writing system on the side. And I actually just had a student today write to me and say that he was selling a golf thing for people aged 40 to 65. And I'm like, that's not one person. That is an age range. You need to think about one single person. And this also kind of hints back to my acting days where you do character study. And the more that you understand who it is that you're talking to, the stronger the connection is going to be. So even if like a mom of 30 or a CEO of 50 is going to buy the same product, if you think about one person and you're writing it, it's going to sound like you're talking to one person. And reading is a one-to-one person activity. And when I'm done, I close the screen. So you got to keep them engaged the whole time. And so that's how the target came up. But I'll tell you where this is the inside information. It's very clever. The inside information is when I kept typing target, I accidentally kept typing target. And so I'm like, target, that sounds good. Let's do that. Target, that makes so much sense. And then this is before I knew what an avatar was. I didn't know people had avatars. And so I actually discovered this like on my own, and that I had already created the target concept. But I like it better because to me, it brings home that you're talking to one person.
Oh, it stood out to me, leapt out to me when I read it, saw it first, TARKET. I thought, oh, was that a typo? And then, of course, learn a bit more, and you've just explained. Now, I don't want to let you go another word further without backtracking, Lorrie. You mentioned something there that you did before coming on to live with us now. And let me just shout out again, Lorrie. We really appreciate our Substackers joining us live and seeing you live now. Thank you for being with us. And also for those watching the replay, be it video or listening on audio, thank you very much. And there'll be more information in the show notes too, including links to where Lorrie mentions this, that, and the other. But you mentioned before coming on that you did you had a client, a coaching course, the John Carlton method, and you're teaching that?
Yes, I am. I've been his coach for the simple writing system since 2009. And
wow.
He's so that's like my side gig. And I love John. He is my main mentor. I did mentor directly under Gary Halbert, but John has been my long-term member. And I used to mentor, and I used to be invited to all of his masterminds to be the female voice of reason, as he called it. And so, I've been working with John for years.
Go on now. Look, we just need more time because you've just dropped another name, not as a name dropper, but the name Gary Halbert. Now, for those of us who are in the world of direct response marketing and copywriting specifically, the name Gary Halbert is, and John Carlton as well, and your name too. But hang on, we'll come back to John Carlton. Did you say that you mentored under Gary Halbert directly?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. We would email back and forth, and he would say, this is good. He never said it sucked. Actually, he always said it was good. But I've been to a few of his events. I went to his memorial, sadly, when he passed. And And so, yeah, I was really blessed to actually get to know him. What an interesting dude. And his son Bond, both of his sons, Kevin and Bond. Bond
Yeah.
is brilliant as well.
I haven't checked for some time, months, but I know that the Gary Halbert letters were published and openly available. And to me, anyway, they were like a free course in copywriting. Read those letters. You're right. You agree?
Yeah.
What was John Carlton's famous headline about the one-legged golfer?
I don't know the whole thing. He writes enormously long headlines, but it was something about the one-legged golfer can hit, these long slices. If he can do it, you can do it. Something. It was much more better than that. but it's funny because sometimes, people will use swipe copy, taking copy from somebody else and then trying to repurpose it. And people were trying to repurpose the one-legged golfer, and it does not work. It just doesn't.
Yeah, the one-legged substacker who, no, it's not going to work. But
right.
Hey, Lorrie, you just mentioned because headlines are such an important structure to copywriting, right, and to messaging. And you mentioned that John Carlton wrote or may still. Does John Carlton still write for clients?
Yeah.
No. So he wrote long headlines. What's that?
He will admit that he's very lazy. He kind of retired.
Oh my God, I'd get on well with him. So you mentioned long headlines. This is very important because who was it? Who's the guy that wrote had the blue blocker sunglasses glasses?
I know Joe too, or before he passed. Everyone's dying. Yeah, Joe.
Oh my God, thank God we're still upright. But now Joseph Sugarman. Well, I am partially anyway. Joseph Sugarman.
I'm old, Mike. I've been around forever.
Oh, come on. What do you mean? You're in your 30s.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Joseph Sugarman, I'm sure it was Joseph that wrote in his book, one of his books there, that the average length, he did a lot of research apparently, and the average length of a headline that works is about 17 words. What's your preference? Do you have a length in mind when you write a headline? No, by the way, headlines for Substackers could be for the post or for the subject line of the email newsletter they're sending.
Yes.
At least that's how I think of it, Lorrie. Do you have a formula for writing headline subject lines? Do you have a length in mind? Do you like to keep them 3 or 5 words? Tell us about how you write headlines.
Well, so that's interesting because I am not a fan of the long rambling headlines, even though I shouldn't say rambling, because every single word in John's headlines have earned their space. He's very careful about that. But for me, and especially with the attention span that people have these days, I feel like it needs to like get them right to the core immediately. And so my favorite subject lines, headlines tend to be curiosity provoking. So it's enough to make them want to read the first sentence. And you mentioned Joe Sugarman. He used to talk about the bucket brigade, how the job of every sentence is to get you to read the next sentence, and that job is the next, and so on and so on. So you're flowing through the copy sentence by sentence before you know it, and you've read it all.
What a great tip in there that you've just shared, the bucket or the slippery slope, or whatever, however you want to frame it. Every sentence is an advertisement for the next sentence that is yet to come.
I love that.
And that's how it works, as you know better than me. You mentioned also, Lorrie, that you now write for yourself, so you're your own client. And a lot of copywriters I know have transitioned to that more lately than ever before. Why do you think that is? And let me just put it to you straight. Is freelance copywriting or copywriter for hire dying because of AI?
Yes, sadly. But what's funny is, so I was a copy chief for a few different, I would say the last 7 years, I've been mostly copy chiefing and making my own products. And so I was privy to a lot of copywriters' worlds because I was critiquing their copy. And they would go out and they would want to get retainers and things. And the vast majority of them, when AI came out, were fired. And then 6 months later, when they realized AI sucks, they were rehired. But so it's, business is always going to try to cut their expenses, and they think that AI is going to do it well enough. But you can feel it. You can feel the lifelessness of it. That it's also congruent. And I use AI too. And I used to actually, when it first came out, I was all excited. And like I was teaching it to learn my voice, and it was actually doing a decent job. But as the later models have come along, they become so uniform and so sanitized. Yeah. And no matter how much you try to get them to not do that, I get into arguments, or I used to. I don't use AI that much anymore for writing stuff, but I would get in arguments. I'm like, why are you, I told you, not X, but Y. Stop it, and stop using the freaking M dash. Stop it. And it'd be like, oh, sorry. So it's, but the whole point is that you can sense that there is not a human behind it because of the uniformity. And so it's not that it's a bad thing. It's not even bad for a first draft, but then you've got to get in there and humanize it. And I've actually tried I gave it another chance, and I would write my draft, and then I would go, okay, just tell me, are there any glaring errors? Oh, well, you shouldn't, use all caps here. Or you shouldn't do that. I'm like, F you. I'm not even asking you. Why don't I trust myself anymore?
Yeah, look, I am so with you. It's almost like, tell me if you agree, Lorrie, it's almost as if we've had to go through a little bit of a 2-year transition for people to find out that AI isn't what we thought it was going to be. As far as that goes. I use AI a lot for a whole lot of things, but and I did make the mistake, Lorrie, of I gave ChatGPT as it was my draft, and it rewrote it. I published it as it rewrote it, and I got chewed out rightfully by a very experienced writer who said, this is not you, Mike. It's not your voice. It's obviously AI. And that was my wake-up call. But I do feel for, well, actually, you've given a little bit of life, like a bit of CPR, if you like, to those who want to pursue freelance writing, copywriting. It's not a dead, if we're right, it's not totally dead. There's a bit, you're on the slab, mate. And with a little bit of CPR, the time's right now. Would you agree that people can re-enter the field?
Yes, I will. I think it has. I will agree with that. It's definitely changing, and I don't think we know how it's going to settle yet. But people are realizing, companies are realizing, oh, I guess we really do need humans too to add to this, and that's another reason why I think story is, AI can't replicate your stories because it didn't live through them. So that's another reason why I think that sounds so much more unique in an age of over information. Not like we didn't have enough before AI. Now we have so much information.
I've seen some freelancers, I don't know whether it's many, but I do recall seeing at least one. I'm prone to exaggerating, Lorrie, so just bear with me. There was one freelancer who positioned himself or herself now as, I'll fix your AI writing, as opposed to I'll write for you. And I thought that was very clever enter the... Yeah, very clever. And I think it's a good positioning for anybody who's wanting to get into copywriting and writing in general. So there's that. All right. Now, Lorrie, as is always the case, you probably don't know this, but we've been chatting away here for 40 minutes, and I'm very conscious of your time, and we are grateful for you joining us on this live stream, and we're also very grateful for those who have stayed with us. And we've had some people typing in some comments, which please excuse me for not responding to you while I've been chatting with Lorrie, because if I did type a response to your comments, then I wouldn't have my attention on Lorrie or the audience in general. So forgive me for not replying to your comments okay. Now, let's just finish, Lorrie. Parting words, what do you want people to know most about copywriting or storytelling, or what you can do in the way you're doing things now that will help them on Substack and beyond?
That's a big question. I think it kind of circles back to what we were talking about already, is that you've already got stories inside of you, and that's what's going to separate you from AI and just all the dreck that's out there already. And it just makes you uniquely you to be able to talk about yourself in not, not in an egotistical way, but in just to share experiences. It makes you more connected to people. And like I mentioned before, even though we're more connected than ever, we're thousands of miles apart, there's actually an epidemic of loneliness going around right now. People actually feel more isolated than they ever have before. And if you can reach somebody's heart or their soul or emotion somehow through story, that's what we've been doing since the caveman days. And it's still, I think it's an art that we don't want to lose.
So true. So very true, Lorrie. I am very grateful for you and your cat for giving your time to join us on this live stream. And I know this is the first time you've joined somebody on a live stream, and I'm sure it won't be your last once people get to know that Lorrie Morgan is on the platform and somewhat willing to be a guest. And will you be doing live streams yourself, any solo talking head live streams?
Yeah, I will. You've convinced me, Mike, that Substack is all in expanding video, right? And they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're investing in video. So it'd be silly to ignore this aspect of it. So yeah, I'm gonna dip my toe in, and thank you so much for being an incredible host and just like guiding me through this.
Oh, pleasure's all mine, Lorrie. Your website is redhotcopy.com. Nothing to do with your red hair, or was it?
Yeah, absolutely did.
Absolutely. Why would you let that opportunity go? Redhotcopy.com. The name of that program you mentioned was?
Oh, it's the YU story. So it was the YWHY and then U, and then I changed it to be like Y, letter U. So it's both ways. YU story. Why should someone pick you?
Why should someone pick you? And that's on your website. That will have its own unique URL extension, I imagine. So is that right? So I'll include that in the show notes too, Lorrie. And this is the end of your day there, and you're very active.
4 horses and put chickens together. Oh yeah,
horses.
Yeah.
You're an active lady there on the. What do you call it? A ranch? Is that what you've got there?
Ranch. It's 14 acres of a bunch of rocks and dirt and trees. And horses.
Oh, how wonderful! I've been speaking to a real live ranch girl. Fantastic. Lorrie, thanks again for joining us, and we want to just thank our viewers that have been joining us live. I know you will have joined. There's Kat waving goodbye. What's its name again?
Elsa.
Of course it is.
Elsa, right?
Elsa, nice, beautiful, yeah, lovely. All right, Lorrie, thank you very much. This will be published, and there'll be show notes and there'll be links as well. Lorrie, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you. It was great. And thank you for everybody else who stuck by us here. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on Substack.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We're never leaving.
No, once I've got you, I don't let you go. Just you can probably go if you wish to. I've just got to find out. Sometimes, excuse me, on the phone here, the end call button disappears on my phone, and so viewers, that's why I'm looking really as dumb as I really am right now. No, the end button's gone. We'll work it out.
Real quick, that Jeffrey Veal says something. The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy is one of the best books on writing sales letters. It's an incredible book on writing sales letters. I also like Stephen King's On Writing, which isn't a copy book, but it's just really helps you get into the creative stuff. So,
well, thank you for responding to Jeff Veal's comment there, and Dan Kennedy's book on writing sales letters, and Stephen King's book, did you say?
Yes, Stephen King, he wrote a book called On Writing, and it was just sort of how he comes up with ideas and his processes, and he talks about the backstory behind his horror movies, and it's quite fascinating. And you really learn a lot about how a writer works. It's cool.
Excuse me for looking away from the camera, but I had to write that down. If I don't write these things down, Lorrie, I forget about them. I mean, I forget my name. So that's. Did you know? Did you know that? Well, you wouldn't know, but I actually, I'm a huge Dan Kennedy fan, and he had a course where I became a certified Dan Kennedy copywriter for info marketers. I did that through AWAI. I know that you've had affiliations with AWAI in the past, and learning copywriting and the style of Dan Kennedy was really good and helped put me on the map. Now, if I can only find this stop button, I can let you go, let you get on with your horses and your chickens and your Siamese cat.
I actually am going to bow out because my button is.
Please do.
So I'm going to say goodbye again.
That's an easy way to do it, Lorrie. Thank you.
Got it. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wouldn't it be funny if people are still watching? Are you still watching? Have I got on this? Give me a red heart if you're still watching. See what happens. What happens here now? Laurie's left the live, and I'm now holding my phone in my hand. I had it on a tripod before, because what happens sometimes, I don't know why it is, whether it's a glitch with the app or whether it's a glitch with my phone. So I'm on a Samsung, which is Android, and so I'm using the Android app version of Substack. And this is thank you. I got a red. Somebody's still watching. Fantastic. I don't want to destroy the impact that Laurie's had by joining us. I'll probably edit this out. But what I'm getting to here is, guys and girls, is that the actual stop or end video button has totally disappeared off my screen, which makes it really difficult. So I think I'm just going to have to exit and close it that way, like as in close it off